What's good, family? Welcome to another episode of An Honest Conversation about Hip-Hop. I'm your host, D. Maraney, a.k.a. Hip-Hop Old Head, a.k.a. Hip-Hop's Uncle Phil. And tonight, as always, I have with me the one and only.
It's your boy, Son Capone, the greatest rapper never known, a.k.a. Machiavelli, the real Machiavelli, the vanilla gorilla, the Latino Mandingo. We in the motherfucking building.
You forgetting the new one. What's the new one?
What's the new one, man?
You just hit it. You debuted it today.
Oh, man. The Don Cartagena, man.
So if they need them quality carts, holla at you, right?
Yeah, you need them jizzles. I got them 25 dizzles. Holla at your dog.
Holla at your dog. And speaking of dogs, in many forms of the word, we got the man, the myth, the legend,
Big Pooh, aka the Stroke.
So I'm gonna tell you, we have a couple of.
Oh man, can I be the little homie, man?
we have a couple
giving them a little stroke, nigga.
We have a couple of older, mature listeners who are feeling the Stroke nickname, Mr. Ford. So shout out to they know who they are. Salute to y'all. How we feeling, family?
Good, man. Good. Glad we got through another week.
Yeah, definitely.
Lot going on, a lot to talk about. So
yeah, a lot to go on in hip hop. A lot to talk about. Before we get into that, as always, big ups to Big Bad Radio Philadelphia. Stand up, good looking. You can find us every single Monday morning, 7 a.m. Pacific or Eastern Standard, and then 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So bigbadradio.com is where you can find the podcast, as well as Spotify, as well as Google Play. We're coming soon to iTunes once again. So the ball is rolling. So we appreciate the support. Before we start the show, real quick, a question I just want to ask you right off the top of the head. Because I was thinking how music has an influence and sometimes your train of thought. And so this is some random shit. We didn't talk about it. Like I said, just hit me a minute ago. DJ Quick's Don't Eat the Pussy. How much did that affect you when it came to actually thinking about, licking the pearl tongue? Oof. I mean, did that as young? Because we were younger when that came out. So it isn't like, we grown men and had experienced. So in any situation, any lyric that you heard that might have, or song that you heard that might have played some role in stopping you from doing something or being a different way. It's a quiet room, so I guess everybody's in pussy.
You know what? The quick track, he says, don't eat the pussy, but the whole track he's talking about eating the pussy.
True.
You know what I mean? So, I don't know, man. Like, it didn't affect me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'll be the first to admit, like, it took a woman to teach me how to do that shit, because a nigga can't tell you how. So
that's real spit.
I was schooled by a woman, and I don't know.
Son Capone? Ooh. Are you on that DJ Khaled tip?
I'll admit. Okay. I'm quick. Well, but back, I mean, thank God I've been able to just lay pipe. So, like, I ain't never had to resort to all that shit. Now that I'm older and a little nastier, like, I'll get with the shits. But back then, you know what I mean, that shit fucked me up because I was about that quick movement, you know what I mean? The, being fly and fuck these hoes and all this other shit. Right. But I was getting away with it back then. So, I wasn't diving, bro. Not at that time, no.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. So, no, they wasn't getting that. Now that the motherfucker is older, nastier, and slower, you gonna get lucky, mama. Older,
nastier, and slower. That's a crazy combination right there.
Hey, the stroke game done slowed up a little bit. You got to finesse it a little there.
That was just something that just came to my mind sometimes how in music, there could be something that's going to automatically make you, think of something differently or might have molded you and placed a seed in your head, man. But let's get into what we came to talk about tonight. So Glasses Malone, we've been talking about him for a couple weeks because his Tupac Must Die song will not die. It continues to that's
what he wanted.
Yes, that's what he's wanted, and again, that's I think what the people want at this kind of point too. So he was on the Breakfast Club. Finally got his Breakfast Club interview. Salute to him. And he was saying in this conversation about the video that the reason that we love Pac so much is because Pac's attachment to Snoop Dogg. And later in the same conversation, he says that Snoop is really the face of rap, is really the GOAT, and was a bigger artist than Pac, while Pac was still living. So I'm going to start with you, Sam. I'm going to ask you your thoughts in regards to the comments and the interview.
Snoop is a West Coast icon. Don't get me wrong. He's definitely a West Coast icon. He still branded. His brand is still popping in 2019, and I salute Snoop. But with Pac had everything going, and Pac was in the news, and Pac had real life turmoil, which made him international with the movies and the music itself. The Me Against the World album dropped, and I mean, he had big singles, obviously Dear Mama being the biggest, yeah. But, So Many Tears. He had So Many Tears, which was popping at the time. And like I said, Pac was one of the first artists other than Slick Rick being locked up and having the album drop, and then putting out music. So I think the controversy made more of Pac than Snoop. Because Snoop, what was it? When Pac came out in 95, I mean, Snoop, he had Doggy Style. Then they have when the Murder Was the Case come out, 93 or 94?
I think that was 94, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was 94.
94 going into 95.
Yeah, that was like tail ends.
Yeah. So I mean, when Pac was out, like Snoop didn't have any projects or nothing that he was coattailing on. You know what I mean? Like that was the transitional phase, and I don't know if Snoop maybe stepped to the side or what happened when they brought Pac in, or they just pushed him to the side. But I don't think Malone is right as far as Snoop made Pac.
So when he says that he's the face of rap,
not rap.
Do you know?
Not the face. He's an icon. You
right.
Know what I mean?
We talked about the face a couple episodes back. We talked about the West Coast icon or whatever, and we all agreed that was was Snoop. He's that dude.
He's there. Yeah. In the West Coast, Mount Rushmore, you have to have Snoop there.
Yeah. So, Pooh, let me ask you, when it comes to some of these comments that we love, or that hip hop loves Pac so much because of his association with Snoop, and that Snoop is rap.
I mean, I kind of looked at it from his perspective. I understood what he was saying. I don't know if he said it the right way. I kind of think what he meant was Snoop is the face of rap as far as the most recognizable in history. You know what I mean? Of course, you got people like Biggie and Pac who got that type of fame because they died. Like it magnifies who they were. But Snoop Dogg is an icon just off who he is, like, the face of hip hop. I understand what he's saying. I don't think he meant like as far as like the best rapper ever. I just think he meant the most recognizable face of hip hop, which could be true, because who's bigger as far as icon wise than Snoop? Like, if you go back east, you got some older cats from yesteryear who are icons, but nowadays, like, who? There is none. Maybe Jay-Z or somebody like that. But
yeah, I think that's the one face or name that is more recognizable than Snoop at this point. But I'm not going to say that's just off of his hustle. I'm going to say that's because that's Jay married Beyonce, and that definitely elevated him to a point that Snoop can't get to, because that's a whole nother group of people. But as far as his relevance, his consistency, as far as new ventures and staying fresh, there is no one that rivals Snoop when it comes to that. He's been able to continue to make himself marketable every single decade without having to marry a superstar R&B, songstress or whatever. Is his music still checked for, like, his name? Do the masses need his music as the same way they react to his name? No, they don't. But his persona is definitely, unmatched. True story. My wife was using, I think it was Waze or some shit. They had two options: the Cookie Monster's voice and Snoop Dogg. That's crazy.
It's like he's lovable. Like he crossed over, I think, without trying to cross over, just because I think
it's just a persona.
Yeah, his persona. His personality, all that. Whereas Jay-Z is more of a recluse. You don't really see him. He doesn't really speak.
Private.
Like, he's barely starting to talk now.
Yeah.
As far as Snoop making Pac, I kind of understand what he's saying. Because Pac was out before Snoop. At the time, Death Row was the biggest thing going. It had the whole gangster persona, all of that. So when Pac got there, he basically 69 himself to even more fame.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Look, I'm a Pac fan, but it's like,
it's the truth.
He he jumped down with hanging with the gangsters, and it was
the criminals and drug dealers.
You know what I mean? He was on record hollering out gang niggas' names and hollering out streets and shit, hood streets and all kind of shit. You know what I mean? So it's like the whole persona, it just elevated who Pac was. And I think if Tupac died before Death Row, I don't think he would be as big as he is.
And
honestly, I don't.
I agree with you. I think it's a Death Row thing. I don't really think it's a Snoop thing.
It's a Death Row thing.
I recall Pac fresh out of jail, out on bail, California Dreaming, with Dre, the Mad Max video. That had nothing to do with Snoop at all. It wasn't even that package yet. The package came when Gangsta Party dropped, which, if I'm not mistaken, was the second single, right? Yeah. And then after that,
they didn't have another.
I don't recall a lot of collaboration.
They fell off.
I don't recall them in the video, so I don't really understand that. I understand what Glasses is saying, that
Snoop is Death Row.
Snoop is Death Row. Therefore, any artist on Death Row ultimately owns their success to Snoop. But I have to say that Pac would have been the one person that is contradictory to that rule, because in my opinion, Pac is responsible for a lot of other dudes in the industry that we look at, the Outlaws, and he would jump on tracks with young Death Row cats, and all of a sudden that would bring that attention or whatever. If I'm not mistaken, when shit started to fall apart, Snoop was after Dre, Snoop was the second to bounce, right?
Yeah.
And if Snoop was the commodity musically that he was at the time, then No Limit should have went to Another Limit. Because if you made Death Row, so to speak, you take that same energy, that same vibe to No Limit, who has the same resources. You know what I mean? They don't have Dre, but they have some of the same resources. And again, I'm 40. I'll be 43 in December, so I forget a lot of shit. But I don't recall Snoop with No Limit and the Heights being the same that Death Row was. No, I mean, what do y'all think?
No, it definitely wasn't. And I think what ended up happening was you had a chance, even though Snoop was a superstar, Death Row, in my opinion, was Dr. Dre.
Yeah,
it was Dr. Dre. It was the sound, because even before Snoop bounced, when he dropped The Dogfather, that shit didn't compare to Murder Was the Case or Doggy Style. You know what I mean? So even when
that's probably his worst album ever.
And when he went to No Limit, the first The Game Is to Be Sold, Not to Be Told, I like shit on there, but it seemed like Master P was in his bag getting his money. So instead of what's the fucking word, conforming to fit Snoop, they made Snoop get on their lane, fit them. You know what I mean?
They countryfied Snoop on his sound on that record. Yeah.
By the second album, when he came out with Bitch Please and all that, then he kind of went back West Coast with it. And then the last meal, he finished it off. He was more West Coast, but at the height of No Limit, Snoop was he sounded more Southern.
Yeah, definitely. So Snoop, definitely one of the top discographies in the game. He's been relevant in every single decade. You can fact check at home if you want to, but that is the truth, in many different lanes. So, we've been critical. We've talked about him changing religions and changing genres of music and shit like that. But at the end of the day, he's taking those chances and he's still here. So that leads to this new video of him and Swizz Beatz. Snoop has a new record coming. Production from Pharrell. Production from Swizz Beatz. And a whole lot of, I think, Battle Cat, a whole lot of other folks are going to be on this record, production-wise. So I'm gonna ask you, Pooh. You heard the record. What are your thoughts, for this first release from Snoop's new project?
It's kind of like nostalgic, I guess that's the word to use. It sounds like some shit from the '90s, so it wasn't bad. I can actually stomach it. The more, I'm gonna say, adventurous Snoop that goes out on a limb and try to do new things, I really wasn't feeling it at all. The shit he's doing now kind of sounds dated, but I can deal with it because the production sound like some shit we used to listen to, and I'm basically stuck in the 90s. I still listen to Compton Was One and Spice One, all that type of shit. So it's not bad, but I don't know if I can listen to a whole album of it. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't that bad.
Son Capone?
For the single, I mean, I think it's a pretty strong single. It's crazy because the beat to me is real hard. Swizz did his thing, and I'm not a Swizz Beatz fan, but he captured the coast on that. But with Snoop rhyming, it's crazy because he sound older when he rhyming. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the cats have adjusted and still keep their pattern. And with Snoop, he's still rhyming like it's 91. And he above that shit because there's records that he was doing in 93 that he was on some new wave shit. You know what I mean? The singing and shit like that. Like that's my favorite Snoop, when he stretching out the words and shit like that, baby. You know what I mean? When he's doing all that shit. So he just outdated with it. So I hope he do good, but I don't think it's gonna go platinum or no shit like that.
Yeah, I think that this is the same conversation we had about Diddy with making the band. Is like, when you're an older cat, what is the, I guess, value of your music? And we're gonna segue into some other shit, but what's the value of your music? And I think for a lot of these younger fans, again, Snoop is a face. He's a brand, and it's almost like, I'm not gonna check for your music. He sells a diehard fan base that's gonna come out and support. So I'm interested to see what type of collaborations he has, who he brings on to try to kind of bring in some of those newer ears that might fuck with him musically. Because we see that one album didn't do too well, where he kind of went back to his roots, so to speak. So we'll see if he comes in a whole nother trajectory, a whole nother lane with this one. So
still give him credit for being damn near 50 and cutting albums, you know what I mean? So
yeah, you got it off top.
Keep it moving.
It's going to be a very interesting conversation, I think, in another 5-10 years, saying, okay, who was the best to ever do it? Was it Jay or was it Snoop? And you're gonna have the lyrical masterpiece album side, and then you're gonna have the cats that are gonna say the person who opened up a lot of doors for a lot of other rappers to get money. And that this lane that Snoop has put himself in is very unique, and it's something that Will Smith couldn't do. You know what I mean? It's like he's able to teeter-totter this line of maybe doing the Joker's Wild, and you're like, oh, he's sold out. And then coming back and then, dropping something that makes him culturally relevant again. Like, Snoop has walked that line, and it's amazing that he just gets that pass and is able to jump, back and forth. Like, if LL Cool J drop a video tomorrow, nobody's checking it. You know what I mean? If you drop the video, people are not run to see that. And I use LL because LL has been able to, go into other TV and movies and shit like that. Well, it's like once you kind of take that leap, can't come back. Look at Cube.
Yeah, Cube. Yeah, exactly. I don't check shit for him. No. Period.
People waited forever for that album. It came and it went. He's not even touring. That tells you how. No, seriously, that tells you the demand for that record. No 2-3 city, not the Key Club, not nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy to me. Crazy, but Snoop has been able to go ahead and do that. So we mentioned value. And Rick Ross and 50 Cent Rick went on, I think it was LA Leakers or something like that. No, it was Nick Cannon in the morning, I think it was. And Nick Cannon asked 50 asked Ross would he ever do a song with 50. And Ross's reply was that 50 no longer has any value when it comes to hip-hop music. I'm going to ask you, is that in 2019, is that true that 50 no longer has any value when it comes to his name as a musician or a rapper? I'm going to start with you, Pooh.
I'm going to say in today's market, I think it's true. I think it was a slight at 50, but I think it was based in the truth. I think 50 still as talented as he ever was as far as making music, but that sound is just not acceptable no more. Like, nobody wants to hear. Like, a couple years back when G-Unit mixtapes and other little shit was dropping, I would hear 50 tracks like, damn, if this shit was fucking 2005, this shit would have been hot. But it's like, people don't want to hear that 50 no more. And I think I said before on a prior show, the generation that's in the forefront right now, it's the soft ass participation trophy, no child left behind generation. Yeah. So it's like, if you're a bully, they don't want to fucking hear you. Like, at the time when 50 was battling with Kanye, I still think 50 was making good music, but people wanted the soft ass underdog nigga to win that battle. They didn't want the street cat to win. Like,
he was more likable.
Yeah, the bad guy is no longer in the forefront anymore. Like, we grew up in hip hop when it came west. The bad guys kind of rose to the forefront. They went back east, Mobb Deep, those type of street cats went to the forefront. But this day and age, nobody really cares for the street music anymore. So those type of cats are gonna kind of remain irrelevant. To take a quick step back to the Snoop Dogg point,
definitely.
How you say he kind of teeters out of the line. I think what the pocket that Snoop found was, he's like you said, no one else has been able to do it. He's found a lane where he's made it where he's accepted to do street shit every now and then. Like, people expect it from, like, oh, that's Snoop Dogg, he smokes weed, he says cuz he's a Crip, like, and it's acceptable. Nobody in history's ever been able to do that.
No, that's just
crazy. What I mean? It's kind of like it's expected of him, like, oh yeah, that's wholesome Snoop, but he is a Crip. He will say cuz every now and then, and he will get on TV and shed tears over his family and do it. You know, it's accepted. You know what I mean? I don't know how the fuck he did it, but I guess
it's just being him, being authentic and real, and the consistency of who he is, man. And you know what? He makes himself, and we'll get back to you, Ross, in a minute, but I guess he makes himself so available, and I think in hip-hop, that is a rarity. We talk about Jay is more a recluse. I look at him as like the dude in the tower, looking through a window on the landscape of everything else. You talk about Nas is just Nas. He's just, you know, that dude who's in solitude, and in my mind, writing every fucking day. You know, Eminem, same thing. He's in a room full of chalkboards, writing rhyme schemes and producing on the side or whatever. You know what I mean? And Snoop is, you know, making himself available to his fans, interacting in different ways, niggas singing corridos and stuff like that. Like, he's really about connecting with people. And I know he didn't get that through any type of training, you know, no media training. I just think who he is as a core. And I think that is so connected to the culture that's one of those reasons he can teeter-totter and just kind of do something crazy. And, you know, he's talking on Fox 11 News or whatever, and he's like, well, cuz, you know, and it's like, wow, you know what I mean? And they're laughing and giggling, like you said. So again, salute to him. And I think at the end of the day, that's maybe that conversation we end up having when we talk about, you know, some of the greatest to ever do it. When it's all said and done for our era. The music will never be done, but for our era, we're really gonna have to go back and take a look at longevity and say, so who you rocking with, Jay or Snoop?
I'm rocking with neither. I mean, on the mainstream level, I can, you know, you had that argument. But consistency, putting out great music all the way through, I'm gonna say the nigga actually got better as he got older. I'm gonna give that title to E40.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, everybody doesn't rock with the bass sound.
Right.
What the contribution he brought to the game and consistency with his own sound, the production always on point. I've never seen a nigga to get that old and still have the youngsters bobbing. Like, he's not like Snoop. He's not like Jay. When Jay dropped 444, it was because us older cats like, oh, some shit for us. When Snoop drops, oh, he's marketing to the older cats. When E40 drops, the youngsters and the old cats still listen. So there's something to be said about that.
No, and I agree, but I think I'm talking about on a higher level.
On a higher level,
just look at these icons.
The icons.
40 is definitely a Bay icon. 40's and a hip hop icon, but 40's problem is he's never been heavily promoted outside of the Bay Area for whatever reason. You know, because he's a black man who's independent, has been doing this shit forever, and Jay and both Snoop have, you know, made sure they've had industry ties. You know what I mean? So, you know, 40 unfairly can't be in this conversation, because at the end of the day, we're going to be talking about these guys who have reached much higher levels, milestones, and been places that 40 hasn't.
Basically, they're hip hop moguls.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You know, and 40 is too, but it's more of a mainstream. You know, we're talking about, again, name recognition, and we're talking about what they have done for the culture in the mainstream light. You know what I mean? 40 has done a lot.
Quick question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think when it's all said and done, 50 goes down as more of an icon than Jay?
No.
Nah, hell no.
Nah, because you know what? 50's fucked off his back half of his career, becoming the Memmy Man. You know what I mean? Like, I believe that 50 can... No, that's what he is. This nigga's a Memmy Man. He's harassing people online. He's a troll. He's the biggest... He's an old troll. He's an old troll.
That's true, but what about business-wise? Like, he made a television network relevant. Not a lot of people can say that. What was Stars before 50?
Well, what did Stars have before Power? Stars didn't have anything that was catering to African Americans, but, you know, they had the fucking Highlander show. You know, they had other shows that was catered towards Caucasians. Stars has brought I mean, 50 has brought stars a whole nother look, you know. But again, we could say Jay played some part in bringing the Nets to Brooklyn. We could say Jay, you know, Jay's on a social level. I think what Jay's
own streaming service.
I think what Jay's doing socially is going to trumps anything else that 50 could ever bring to the table.
Yeah.
And again, 50's always gonna have that negative mark. You a clown at this point in your career. At one time, I think all three of us could agree. People looked at 50 as probably the next big thing in the game for a very long period of time. I don't know what happened.
He had the opportunity.
You know,
too many enemies. He wasn't friendly.
Yeah, too many enemies. Too arrogant. You know what I mean? His handlers, Shy Money and them couldn't handle him or whatnot, and it ended up being something completely different. 50 had a hell of a battery in his back. Eminem, Dre, and Aftermath, and to fuck that off, you got to be a special type of asshole to go ahead and do that. So that brings us back to the shit with Rick Ross, and Ross saying that 50 is no longer relevant musically. What can 50 do to get back musically relevant, or do you think it's just a rap?
I think it's over. I mean, he's relevant now, being using his personality, sort of like Snoop, except he's the opposite. He's talking shit, being funny, and then you can't take it away from him. He's probably, other than Jay and maybe Puff or somebody, business wise, I don't think anybody can really fuck with him. Hip hop wise, you know what I mean, as far as making big major moves, but music wise, it's a rap.
I would like to see 50 try to bring New York back. Reboot G Unit with a whole bunch of kind of not unknown, but
he tried it.
But new though? I mean, he did have Kid, but I mean, I don't know who else he had. And
it was another cat too. I forgot his damn name.
Rowdy something.
It just didn't like not. I'm not talking about when Hot Rod and all them niggas. Yeah. When he brought Kid in, I forgot the name of that mixtape. It was Kid and another cat, and I was like, damn, these motherfuckers is flowing. I was like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But it just didn't catch on. Yeah. And I think what it is with 50, he really lives that 48 laws of power shit where you crush your enemy and you don't take your foot off their neck. It's kind of like when he has bad blood with somebody, he kills them.
Yeah.
And then because the way the industry's set up, if somebody else fucks with them, then fuck them too. It's like there's so much bad blood everywhere to where when he can squash a beef with a nigga like Fat Joe, but Fat Joe's irrelevant.
Right.
You know what I mean? He can squash beef with Rick Ross, but Rick Ross, even though he's talented and still got his, he's not what he was 5 years ago either.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, if it ain't like one of these up and coming youngsters, you see, he damn near tried to attach himself to 6ix9ine.
Yeah, he did.
But 6ix9ine wasn't. He wasn't. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
so it didn't work. He tried it.
Yeah, he was calling the nigga my son and shit like that.
He tried it.
So with I mean, who do you prefer? Well, let me ask you, because we didn't even ask you, Simon. What are your thoughts on 50 and what Ross is saying as far as him no longer having value when it comes to his music?
You're being correct. You know, I mean, Rick Ross make more relevant music. I mean, he's still going. Rick Ross will release a project, and it's going plat. You know, with the streams and everything like that, because everybody check for Rick Ross. I'll give Rick Ross credit as far as Rick Ross. What he did take from 50 is the production standpoint of it. I think that he took 50's spot as far as choosing the correct production. I think Rick is probably one of the best artists right now that always has the dopest production on his albums. So 50 never elevated, you know what I mean? But 50, he's a street dude. I don't think 50 has been like an MC like that, as far as he didn't take music serious to elevate himself personally as far as
he was a hustler, artist. Took the bag and got out and took it somewhere else, and I respect that about Fit. I really do. I just think it's a shame that musically he's just shat the last couple of years, you know what I mean, where there's a time where
he's still back in 07, you know,
and I just think I think that if he came back focused with the right production team and stuff like that, he can write songs, you know what I mean. Again, I think he could put the right, 50 Cent presents New York, and then you get some of the hottest rap dudes.
He over here pressing for that 50 Cent New York.
I think that would work.
Mixtape, or not mixtape, but he trying to take it back with Matt. Remember Master P with the West Coast Bad Boys and shit like that.
Very similar.
D trying to take it back to 94, 95.
Hey, I think
he's talented still. Like, for instance,
I agree.
The fucking what's the shit called? The fucking theme song of Power was dope to me. When I first heard that, I was like, oh, this shit is hard right here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've never
Same
heard
Old
it.
Town or whatever
Yeah,
it's called.
you know what I mean? I'm listening to what he was saying on there. Like, it was some catchy shit. To like, he still has the talent, but it's all about if the market wants you. You can be as talented as you want. If the market doesn't
I think
want it.
what it is he has the talent, but honestly, he got so much shit going on. The passion has been lost a long time ago. And I think that's where he fell behind everybody else, is because he's involved in so much other shit that the passion for the music, he wasn't staying sharp on it and continuing writing and shit like that.
Well, he said himself that he kind of had an analogy with Jay-Z. He said when he hit the scene, Jay-Z retired because the momentum for him was just so much.
No, he shot the fuck out like
Jay-Z
out
couldn't
the
do
candy.
shit with it. So it made sense. So he said himself, this was probably about 10 years ago, doing when he was beefing with Kanye, probably a little longer. He said, I'm still putting out great music, just the same shit. He said, it's just a time where they're just not receptive to my music. He said, so I'm going to step away, get out of the spotlight for, 4 or 5 years and try to come back and see if they'll accept it. And they didn't. And I think ever since then, he kind of looked like it ain't even worth it. So he kind of moved over to the next venture. Cause
of course.
They're not accepting the music.
Well, not even move over to he just went back to doing what the fuck he was doing. You know what I mean? He just went back to business. That's what I'm saying as far as the...
I'm not a huge fan of him musically, but I do think that he has an opportunity to do something for the culture in New York, which is like we talked last week, which is really needed. No, I'm being honest. It's an honest conversation about hip hop.
Harry Gordy over here and shit trying to
just give me 5% on the back end, Fit. That's all I'm asking.
Putting Brotown records together over here.
So Lauren London the other day on her Instagram dropped that the news that the Marathon store will unfortunately not reopen. They'll continue to sell merchandise online, but it will be replaced with a tower dedicated to Nipsey Hussle. That's all the info I have. I don't know. It's going to be a shopping center or something like that, but it's just going to be a tower. How unfortunate is it that, again, it just seems to be more stopping of the repair of the community now that Nip is gone. You know what I mean? The store, in my opinion, a lot of people before his passing would come to see it from out of town, gonna spend money in the community when they're out there, you know what I mean? And now with the closing of that, even if they put up, a tower in his honor, in my opinion, the closing of the store is his ultimate defeat. The tower is to honor that passing and that defeat. That's just my opinion. I'll ask you brothers what you think. I'm gonna start with you, Pooh. Or should I start with Simon?
No,
okay.
I'm good.
All right.
What you just said, I kind of feel that. It's like, it kind of seemed like he put his blood, sweat, and tears into getting that store. And unfortunately, it's just... The store, because of his untimely passing, outgrew the environment that it's in. They can't... I don't think there's a way that they can run the store with all the popularity now. That little section is just... If you look at the parking lot, you can't even fit fucking 30, 40 cars in the parking lot. You just can't do it.
Probably 15.
You know what I'm saying? It's not... how can I say it? It's not designed for it. Like I said, unfortunately he passed. The whole Marathon brand and all this shit, I don't think if Nipsey lived to be 99 would have ever got this big with him being alive, no matter what he accomplished.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it just kind of, that's the, like I was saying earlier about people dying, they fame and stuff kind of, it gets bigger than what it was. As far as the tower goes, I guess they're trying to make something that'll always be around, even when, the gentrification comes and all the niggas and Mexicans is gone.
Starbucks next to it.
Can you imagine? There's gonna be a Starbucks, and
as he always wanted and shit. He always wanted a mocha or a cave latte.
There'll be a
shit,
Starbucks and a Birkenstock
Frappuccino
store
and
right
shit,
next to the Nipsey Hussle statue.
You know what I mean? So it's just they're trying to make it memorable. I guess sort of like it's the Crenshaw District fucking watchtower.
Yeah,
it's going to be a monument. You know what I mean? I think eventually Nipsey probably would have had to close the store if he would have gotten to the level that he wanted to as far as his branding. That just would have been the home base. And people, it's this generation, everything is online anyway. Eventually, I think he probably would have been more of an online based store anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's like you gotta kind of they doing it on the fly, man. It's a rough thing, and you know, I really don't know what else to say about it. I'm not trying to be disrespectful because I got other thoughts on this shit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No,
But,
I feel you. Sam, what about you?
I mean, it's a lot deeper than what the fuck we thinking. You know what I mean? Because on Instagram, I'm friends with Black Sam. You know, and with Black Sam, he seen them gate up the shop, and he was saying he didn't know what the fuck was going on. So I mean, I don't know who's behind it, whether it's the city, but I don't think it's Nipsey or his people. You know what I mean?
They don't own this shit.
Yeah, no, of course they don't own it. So you know, maybe the city is just to not bring as much traffic in that area, is putting up the tower to, you know what I mean, kind of just fizzle it out.
Let me ask you, D. Did you follow the stuff that transpired over the last week as far as the paperwork of the business?
So from what I understand, he was trying to buy it for a while, and the original owner would never sell it. So he didn't actually own the store fronts. But that's all I know. I heard some other rumors that I'm going to address in a minute, but I'll let you start with what you want to share.
Okay, well, I don't know the guy's name off the top of my head, but he had a business partner, and the business partner says because Nipsey had felonies that he couldn't get the funding to buy the store. Mm-hmm. So what ended up happening was, since he was felony free, he was able to. So on all, like, they technically own everything, but on every document is homeboy's name. It doesn't say Nipsey name anywhere. So
I wasn't hip to that.
The lesson learned here is Nipsey, like anyone else, is not expecting to die.
Right.
So basically, right now, they're
on 100%.
They're at the liberty of the dude, if he want to be a good man and say, okay, well, this is Nipsey shit, because technically he could say, Black Sam, Lauren, the rest of y'all,
it's my shit.
Fuck y'all. Yeah. This is me.
So that kind of rolls into the rumor I heard. So the rumor I heard is that the store will reopen. It's going to reopen somewhere very close to Staples Center, because Nip has this line of clothes that are coming out with Adidas, or no, Puma. Is it Puma? I think it's Puma. Yeah, it's Puma. He's got this line coming out with Puma.
There's some more bullshit, but go ahead.
Yeah, and they're going to go ahead and open up that shop very close to Staples Center and make it a destination shop in the whole nine, and that's why they're moving it out of the hood, because the forces that now control Nipsey's likeness, music, name, are going to try to get him to a martyr level, almost like a Pac level after death. You know what I mean? And sell him, market him to people who might sympathize with what unfortunately happened to him. But go ahead, Pooh. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, I didn't know at the time, but that Puma shit is a Rock Nation thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So those proceeds ain't going to Nipsey's people. That shit is going right back to Rock Nation.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's
fucked up.
You know what I mean? It's all this marketing, and people going to support it, but it's not benefiting Nipsey or the community at all. It's going right back to the same people who basically had him in a 360 that nobody fucking knew about.
Right.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, it's as the story progresses, it starts to play out like all these other stories. 6ix9ine, Pac, Nip, all these people that get themselves involved in things that are much bigger than them and they don't really understand.
I got something else to say too, because I'm, into try to, getting this business shit going. The thing that his partner said about the felonies is complete bullshit. If your credit is where it needs to be, you can get funded. It doesn't matter about no fucking felony. That's bullshit. Maybe Nipsey Hussle's a hustler and he's a cash and carry guy and he didn't have the credit to get the shit going. But the felony shit is straight bullshit.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting, man. We'll see what happens with this hotel that it's supposed to be opened up. Him and Ruel Dang is part of that. And this other brother, I gotta find his name because I know who his business partner is. I know exactly who you're talking about. But rest in peace, Nip, and hopefully the community doesn't get left out when it comes to what's going on. Hopefully whoever controls his estate doesn't do what happened with Pac, and they just forget about the true legacy of what the artist was trying to go ahead and leave. So speaking of the West Coast, I asked you guys earlier today, so this is off the top of the head, if we had to come up with a hip-hop Mount Rushmore for just West Coast albums. If I'm not mistaken, there's only 4 faces on Mount Rushmore, right? So if we just had to take 4 albums, I'm gonna throw some names out there. Straight Outta Compton has to be, in my opinion, has to be one of them, just for what it started. Doggy Style, you got to put it up there because of what? No,
coming from you.
We're talking about West Coast music, though. No. We're talking about no. We're talking about no. I mean,
go ahead.
This is facts. I'm not hating.
Finish it, Barack Obama. Come on, man.
What do you mean, Barack?
You over here. I know
right,
you.
so,
I know you don't believe what the fuck you just said right now. But keep going.
No, time out.
Keep going.
You count. What albums do you think I should?
No.
I mean, if you know my answers, or what do you think I should? I should be saying. What are those 4 albums?
You fucking hieroglyphics and some bullshit.
Okay, so let me go back. I'm not talking about the dopest records.
Black Sheep is.
I'm not talking about the dopest records. I'm talking about if we ask the masses, what are the records that they're going to say are on hip hop's West Coast hip hop Mount Rushmore, right? So as much as I might have dug some Alcoholic or Hieroglyphics or some, quick records or whatnot, shit, come on. Is the average person going to tell you that? No. So we talking about in general. I'm not talking about my personal picks.
Okay.
These are definitely not my personal picks.
I thought this was your personal pick.
No. I said I'm gonna throw some names out there. Is exactly what I said. So we had Straight Outta Compton. We had Doggy Style, The Chronic, and then that 4th one was the one that was really hard for me. I can't think of an album that, if we just talk about impact, changed the game, I can't really think about that 4th West Coast album.
Now that you put it, like when the topic first came about earlier, I was thinking like our 4 favorites.
Yeah.
But now that you say impact wise, to me it's kind of one-sided. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have put Straight Outta Compton, but I understand the reason why. The reason you said that, it makes all the sense in the world, because it is what it is. It's basically the birth of gangsta rap. So I would say that too. Like I said, it's one-sided. Straight Outta Compton, Doggy Style, The Chronic, and a lot of people wouldn't say this, but I think the impact that it made, the way that it fucking hit at the time, led into 50 and all that shit. The Chronic 2001.
Yeah.
You know
both of them.
Because coming into the new millennium, what the fuck was bigger than the Chronic 2001?
Nothing.
Okay. What about and not new millennium, but so do you think All Eyes on Me bumps anything off that?
Nah. To me, nah.
Machiavelli?
They're huge, but
nah. Machiavelli's my favorite, but no, not as far as impact. No.
I think, like you said, that Straight Outta Compton impact is it's that shit is like one of the Beatles of fucking hip hop.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's undeniable if you're going to talk about the greatest West Coast records of all time, regardless of how it is aged horribly. My favorite record was Give Me Something to Dance To. I heard that shit the other day and I was like, man, I was tripping when I was a youngster. Here I come to save the day.
Is that the album that had Express Yourself and all that shit on there?
Yes.
That was fucking classic.
And the last album on that shit was the last record was a favorite. That was that little dance record. Let's give him something to dance to. You know what I mean?
But you know what's missing here? Maybe it ain't missing, just it's on my mind.
Right.
And I know there's a lot of people who debate and this and that. What does all 4 of them Mount Rushmore albums have in common?
Dre.
Dr. Dre.
Yeah, Dre.
Dr. Dre is, especially we say Snoop and whoever, Dr. Dre is the West Coast.
And here, so this is what I was gonna say, Pooh, because then, can we even throw a Kendrick record in that conversation?
No.
Can we call no? So we can't do that yet.
And even if you did, what does that have in common?
It has Dre
Dr.
again.
Dre.
So that's hard, man. So is that it? Is Dre been the architect of the West Coast
on the mainstream level?
From the inception of mainstream gangster rap to I mean, I guess he's not really doing it now, but I mean that's his family tree. At the end of the day, like you said, we give Easy a lot of props, we give Snoop a lot of props, but at the end of the day,
even Cube,
Dre. I mean, that's crazy.
That's a lot of shit.
That's the common denominator.
Yeah, we just put fucking Dre's face. Yeah. Fuck everybody else. Just have him up.
Like you said, once that tree gets to going, you got Cube, and Cube branches off into like Mac 10, and you got Kendricks, you got The Game. It just
right. That's true.
Man, I don't even think there's somebody on the East that impactful.
Yeah.
No.
Maybe Def Jam as a label,
Right.
as an
Not
individual
one person?
no.
No.
As one person, no. And it would be somebody way behind the scenes, Rick Rubin or some shit like that. And it would be old. It wouldn't be as relevant, as current as Dre has done.
So let me ask you this: so does that make Dre the Mount Rushmore of hip hop?
So if we got to talk about the greatest,
You have to.
so that's one of those conversations where you have to then define criteria, because I think Dre gets left out that conversation because he's not a rapper. So, but if you're gonna talk about everybody in totality that's contributed to hip hop, unfortunately, you have to talk about Rambada, because he created, I know, but if we're gonna just talk about it, just like if we talk about the greatest R&B singers ever, you have to talk about Robert Kelly. Name has to at least be said and mentioned, even though it is a disgusting thing now. You have to say, well, there was Kells. And with Rambada, he did bring hip-hop to New York. That was his shit. So without his nasty ass, sucking off little boys and shit, unfortunately, we're not here at this table having this conversation. So you have to talk about Rambada. You have to talk about Dre. You have to talk about Luke. And then, Luke fought
for
snickering
the freedom of speech.
Not only fought for the freedom of speech, but nigga, BT stole a whole program of shit that Luke was doing.
Yeah.
Luke had the little freak tapes, these broads twerking now. We had that on VHS way back in the day. These little festivals and shit, Freaknik, that was Luke. So again, Luke's not a great rapper. I don't want to hear him rap, but if we're talking about the people who have been monumental, and that's what Rushmore is.
Hey, it's true. If you want to see a 45-year-old woman pop her pussy right now, throw on the old Luke record.
Exactly.
They're gonna come out they see.
There are fellas and young ladies listening at home. Actually, shit, you probably be maybe a little bit younger than me. You're probably in your 20s right now. If you're anywhere near, I don't know, Atlanta, Florida, anywhere in those areas, go through your mama's closet. You're probably gonna find a box, and in that box there's gonna be pictures of a weekend where she was topless, wearing some cut off mom jeans, with some high top feelers, popping that thing.
Hey, it's real shit.
Hanging out of a Camaro.
I never even thought that deep into it, but hey,
Luke,
the king of the South is fucking Luther Campbell.
Yep, Luke.
Yeah.
So we got Dre, we got Rambada, we got Uncle Luke. Who is that fourth person that we put on hip hop's Mount Rushmore?
Do you give that shit to somebody like Russell?
No, because I feel that Russ did a lot. Russ definitely did a lot, but I think we could. Maybe he's in contention. I think maybe we can find someone who means more.
But it wasn't just him. Huh? It was Rick Rubin. It was
you had a lot of people
Def
that
Jam
was doing
was
that.
Just a label.
Right.
A big thing. I don't know, man. That's kind of hard. But to a point that I was thinking of when you were saying this was we've already established that Dre is just far superior on the West Coast. Not even a question. Just in the hip hop landscape overall, where do you see 50? I know he's not on Jay's level. He's, to me, as an MC, of course, he doesn't surpass Nas. But as far as fame and being a major heavyweight hitter, I think he surpasses Nas. He's right there with the Puffies and the Jays, so to speak.
I don't consider that because I feel that Nas is still putting out better music. And
I understand. Nas is a better artist,
right?
But as far as fame and all that
impact,
Nas doesn't compare to 50.
Well, I think, here's my point. The fame that Nas has is almost like folklore at this point.
Yeah.
What 50 is known for is being a clown, the meme man. And so I think on the scale of the respect, that's dropped a little bit. You know what I mean? Because, Nas.
But it's the same thing as Kells, though. You can't take back what he's done.
No, I'm not at all. But we're saying, like, are we looking at it in the past or are we looking at it now in totality? Because if we're looking at it in totality, I feel that his bullshit has diminished him a lot. You know what I mean? where Nas can drop the Lost tapes, can get young heads to check it out. Some hate, some don't. If 50 drops a record right now, it's not going to have the same buzz as a Nas. And Nas doesn't put himself out as much as 50, doesn't associate with the same type of people that associate with 50. So that's what I'm saying as far as right now, relevance and popularity. I think there are people who would be looking for a Nas and checking for a Nas before they're going to check for a 50.
True.
You know what I mean? 50's
musically, yeah.
Yeah, 50's dissing niggas to get on. You know what I mean?
Okay,
dissing niggas, we're not talking.
What about let's just say 04 to 2019? How much Nas shit did you check for?
Everything that he dropped.
I mean,
he
had some bullshit in between there, though.
He did. I understand that.
Yeah.
But 50 had a lot of bullshit and no really good shit. But I checked for Nas because I like Nas. So I'm just saying that 50 to me has lost a lot of credibility. And I think when it comes to popularity, real popularity, people who are they're really checking for your shit other than when you clowning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's up there with Nas. I think people only check with him for scandal, for him clowning. But if tomorrow 50 put out a brand new song, you know what I mean, that was some serious shit, no one's gonna check for it unless he's dissing somebody.
It's true. Okay, I kind of veered off the point I was trying to make. But let's say fuck it, Nas is more impactful than 50. But he's mentioned with the greats, the icons.
Of course, he had his run. Definitely.
So when you go Midwest, who's the Midwest icon?
See, so the Midwest, you got to really break it down, because are you gonna say?
Oh, I can end it quick.
No, I know, but so here's the thing: you could say Nelly.
I'm gonna say
Eminem, Kanye West, or. Well, I don't know if you consider Tech 9 Midwest because he's from Minnesota.
He's so far.
That's like the E40. So let's just say those three.
Yeah.
Nelly, and Kanye. Which, who is the icon in that, or who's the big fish in that scenario?
Okay, let me tie this up real quick.
Yeah, tie it up.
Dre has an icon in the Midwest and the East also.
And
50.
Yeah, no, he does.
You know what I mean? So I don't know, man.
Dre at the end of the day, the people who know music respect him, but at the same time are the same ones that are skeptical because he has so many people working on beats and things like that, composing, you know what I mean? And hip hop is such a fickle community where, they try to take shots at anything that you're doing. Whenever I have a conversation with somebody and we're talking about producers, I always make the snide little remark, well, Dre's not really more producer, he's more of a arranger of music or whatever. This is the person that was actually doing this and that. So I'm not going to front and pretend like I'm, super pro Dre. But you got to give the man credit where credit is due. And like you said, Pooh, he's got his imprint everywhere within hip hop. And if you think of that outside of that, him attaching himself Beats by Dre, him attaching himself to Apple, you know what I mean? He's done a lot to come from where he was to where he is. So definitely somebody at the end, and definitely someone who, as far as hip hop in all phalanxes of hip hop, he is definitely on that Mount Rushmore. But to get back to that Midwest, I don't know. Kanye, I think, has done more when it comes to fashion and pushing hip hop fashion forward. Eminem, that's not really his lane. Kanye's brought more artists to the game than M. Maybe they didn't have the impact of a 50 Cent, but Kanye has exposed us to more artists who are still around making music and things of that nature. His celebrity is bigger than Eminem at this point because on some bullshit, all the little silly shit he does. So I don't know. I would have to say it would be Kanye
right now,
just because M has been a hermit, for the entirety of his career.
But do you tie Kanye for doing what Jay did and married the Kardashians? That kept him relevant on the other half.
Of course, so that factors, I think, into the equation, and you got to knock Eminem for being a fucking weirdo sitting in the house.
I got a little rebuttal in there. I want to say the Eminem part first, though.
Yeah.
I think the reason why Eminem fell off as an MC, because we all know he was talented in the beginning.
Right.
He said it himself. He didn't expect to get that big, and it got to the point where he couldn't live life as a normal human being.
Right.
Because most of these hip hop artists, you got violence attached to you. Got niggas who see you in the street. Eminem had blacks and the whites, where he couldn't even fucking go to the mall no more. I mean, and a lot, like, I couldn't even imagine if I couldn't fucking pull up over here and just come chill with the homies. That would psychologically fuck you up. With that being the hermit, I think that kind of fucked him up. Now, to get back to the Kanye and the Jay shit, I think Beyonce elevated Jay to what he is, but at the same time, I think that's more Jay than Beyonce. The reason why I say that is Beyonce was a star with her little group.
Destiny Child.
She wasn't shit until Dre put his hands on her. She was safe. Not Dre, Jay. When Jay got to her, and the first thing she did was come out with Crazy in Love with booty shorts on. Yeah. He magnetized her fucking sex appeal, made her start making music about fucking surfboards and fucking niggas and making it more risque. She went to an icon level. Yeah, she was Ashanti before that. Yeah, you know what I mean. So I think she's more talented, but this real shit. Yeah, she became Janet Jackson when Jay put his hands on her.
Right, that's true. You know, they definitely both gained from that. Yeah, Jay gained an audience of people who probably weren't listening to him before.
Beyonce made Jay handsome.
Yeah, that is true. So the Kanye M thing, I'm going with Kanye. You're going with who?
No, I'd have to say Kanye.
Yeah, same.
I mean, I guess because it just seemed like Eminem wasn't a great. How can I say this shit? He was a better MC than a fucking talent evaluator.
Right.
He's Michael Jordan was a great basketball player, but horrible owner. You know what I mean? He's just great at what he does, what he did. Yeah, personally.
Is, like I said, and he's probably somewhere right now, fucking eating spaghetti and writing on a fucking chalkboard 100 syllables of some shit he's about to say.
Yeah.
So before we wrap it up, quick question: did you guys see the fucking James Prince is heated because someone has selling dope in Houston with the Rap-A-Lot emblem on it? Yeah. So basically,
I ain't seen that.
He put out. So he had a video. He's like, I don't know if it's the police. Yeah. I don't know if it's the police. Or I don't know, it's the streets.
Yeah.
But when I find out who it is, y'all getting dealt with. Jay Prince, man, is that enigma. Like, he says some shit that you would feel like he should catch some heat, you know, law enforcement wise. Yeah. He still carries himself a certain way, and he still does what he does, man. That shit is crazy. And that might be somebody. We'll have to do a little bit more. I'm going to have to do more education on it. But that might be somebody you might have to put on that fourth Mount Rushmore.
I was thinking it at the time, but I was trying to kind of thinking, like, other than Scarface and him, who else did he have his hands on?
Well, I mean, the whole taking your money outside of hip-hop.
Yeah.
Buying all them Black Angus steers and shit like that and take that money somewhere else.
Yeah.
The fact that he has his hands in Drake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
Luda and all them niggas too.
There's a lot of stuff he doesn't get credit for because he's not a boastful person.
He's what Irv Gotti and fucking Suge should have been. You know what I mean?
100% right.
You know what I mean?
And it would have been too bad that could have never came to fruition.
Yeah.
And have all three of those guys get together, because I think they could have changed the course of music.
They tried it,
and I think that's why the government came in and tried to shut that shit down. Yeah. But I think, man. That I think Jay Prince just might get that nod right now. I might tomorrow look at some other shit and remember somebody else, but those are definitely my four.
You know what, D? Real quick.
Yeah, we here.
When it comes to Jay Prince, I think because the new day and age that we living in, I think this new day and age is, in my opinion, is fucking up Jay Prince's legacy. The same way you saying with 50, because Jay Prince was superior. Because you didn't hear him.
Right.
He was fucking Kaiser Sose.
Yeah. Definitely.
Now he's talking and making mistakes by saying shit and tagging niggas online. Like he was more powerful when he was the nigga on Inspector Gadget in the chair.
Yeah, with the cat.
That never turned the fuck around.
Yeah.
He was more powerful then, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, he's had a couple when they took the Young Boy chain that he managed, and he was on social media making these threats, and these dudes are laughing at him like he's nobody.
And he said the nigga's name and all. You know what I mean? Like he dry snitched without trying to.
Right.
He's older and didn't know didn't know any better.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I agree. There's some things, the Drake situation. There's some things where I wish he would have removed himself from.
Yeah.
But I feel like as an old head myself, not to his level, sometimes you try to make things right on social media.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to make things right with somebody who's not trying to, they use that against you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you give up your power by trying to be a legitimate person and reaching out and saying, "Hey, this is what I'm trying to do." It's almost like the bait. You know, that's what these troll cats online need. They want you to continue to engage them so they can fire back with however they're going to fire back. And I think, like I said, as an old dude myself, that's one thing I need to learn about dealing with motherfuckers online, is that not everybody's worth your time, not everybody's with your energy, especially at a Jay Prince level. You know what I mean? So any final thoughts before we get out of here, fellas? Nah.
No, this was a good one. Yeah. Some shit still with me that we talked about that I'm gonna kind of solo some shit and think about it.
Yeah, and again, we got a lot of shit to come back and discuss. Rocky is free, but still, I guess in Sweden, gonna be sentenced next week or something like that. They're talking about he's looking at anywhere from 3 to 6 months. They end up finding video footage, some text messages saying that from Rocky's bodyguard saying that Rocky hit dude with a bottle. So those are the things that hopefully Rocky doesn't get crazy time off that, comes out of this. Before we wrap up, I want to send some shout outs to people that support us, man. Nitro G's, man, good looking. The Minding Your Business podcast with Ron Champ Brooks, appreciate you. Sam Alvarado at Hogs One Music, man, you got them fire USBs. So it's hot in Cali right now, so make sure you grab one of them banging USBs, man. So thank you for rocking with us. We appreciate you, and even if you don't rock with us, you're still rocking with us. Until next time, Nyce Rockwell and the beat in the background. I'll holler at you later. It's your boy. Peace.